Hi, I'm Professor Alastair Pearce from Working with Creatives, the organisation that helps you work with your creative colleagues. Rules are meant to be broken. It's a well-known phrase, but is it a spur to greater creativity or a justification of antisocial behaviours? The answer that Francesca Gino came up with in 2014 for the Association of Psychological Science was that dishonesty, that's usually an antisocial behaviour, and creativity might in fact be two sides of the same coin. Let's meet today's caricature. Fibber, your colleague with a creative attitude to the truth. You're in a planning meeting with Fibber. She's in charge of an important element of the project, an element that must be completed before the next stage can start. Right, Fibber, you say. So, when do you reckon you'll get your bit finished? No problem, she replies. End of the week. You know that's not true. You know it can't be true, the job's too big. You know Fibber knows it isn't true. You know Fibber knows you know it's not true. So why on earth is Fibber saying it? Perhaps you've watched my video on Solo, the creative who isn't good in teams. If you have, you'll recall that Solo was a storyteller, and Fibber shares that bit of creative DNA with Solo. Perhaps they're cousins or something, for Fibber's fibs are expressions of her storytelling creativity. Let's examine that onion of an idea and peel away its layers. On the surface, Fibber's keeping you happy. She knows by the end of the week is what you'd love to be true. Next layer down, it's keeping Fibber happy. It's what she too would really want to hear, for it would prove that she's a great contributor to this important team project. Do you see an element of storytelling starting to emerge? And below that, it's the summary for Fibber's big fantasy narrative. For if Fibber really worked amazingly hard day and night until Friday, she might actually just do it. So her lie is the outline sketch for that nail-biting adventure story of our hero Fibber who, despite the enormity of the task, struggles through to success, rescuing the project just in time. So, my explanation of the link between creativity and lying is based on storytelling. But there are other explanations, and I've got two for you. The one that's probably the more useful for colleagues and managers of creative people is based on the observation that companies often celebrate creativity as a rare and special attribute of just some employees. This can create in those special few a sense of entitlement, implying that the rules governing the behaviour of most colleagues do not apply to them. And that includes not telling lies. It's in the neat phrase of Vincent and Karchowski in the Harvard Business Review, it's not just that creative people can think outside the box, it's that people who see themselves as creative and see creativity as rare believe they deserve a bigger box than others. I once told off the director of a show for smoking during a rehearsal in the theatre, clearly against the rules. He was furious with me. He was a creative. He was the creative. The rule didn't apply to him. And from this entitlement explanation of antisocial or dishonest behaviour flows a number of managerial actions you can take to short-circuit that divisive sense of entitlement. The seminars that Working with Creatives offers include detailed advice on how these can be devised and implemented to moderate the dishonesty of your creatives. But is it likely that a total cure can or perhaps even should be found? I doubt it. And this leads to my last possible explanation of the link between creativity and lying. It's based on the fact that every significant creative project that Fibber completes changes her. She has, in a sense, superseded, invalidated the old Fibber of the past. Imagine her today looking back to that old Fibber and her historic opinions about herself. They're wrong. They're no longer a true description of Fibber today. It's a lie. For Fibber has changed. Her creativity has demanded change. So I'm suggesting that creative people, by being creative, inevitably turn themselves into liars and, by repetition, perhaps become habituated to lying, not only about themselves, but more generally too. And look, there would be an unacceptable cost for creatives if they stopped lying, for without that constant invalidation of themselves, their creativity, such a positive and exciting aspect of their lives, would also have to stop. It's a price not worth paying for Fibber's sense of identity and, quite plausibly, your company's innovative reputation. So I've suggested 3 reasons why creativity and lying may be indeed 2 sides of the same coin. The entitlement explanation opens the way to your being able to mitigate at least some of its divisive effects among your colleagues. My own storytelling theory may not, I fear, prompt so many management interventions, but might be useful to bear in mind when your entitled colleagues are telling you particularly creative stories. Whilst my idea about creativity inevitably casting the creative as a recidivist liar should help you evaluate the degree of lying you're happy to tolerate in your company. Do you need a seminar on working with the Fibbers in your organisation? My company, Working with Creatives, can help with that. So visit my website at workingwithcreatives.co.uk.